In this screencast, I explain how I used Nvivo during my research. Nvivo is computer-assisted qualitative data analysis software. It is paying software, but you can request a 14-day free trial if you want to get acquainted with it. Luckily, I received a legal license through my uni student account. Nvivo has got more functionalities than I actually used. It has got a lot of possibilities, but I did not use all of them. For example, you can create models with it, visual overviews that show how your concepts, categories, data is related. But in the end, I used PowerPoint to create my visuals and my overviews, my relations, because I simply think they are more attractive and more easy to use and provide more possibilities and flexibilities. So how did I use Nvivo? First of all, I entered all of my sources in the sources section here. You can import data that can be imported, resources, primary source materials, end up in the internals section here. External sections could be artifacts, objects that you cannot digitalize and cannot be imported. In my case, I imported the word cloud, images of the participants, and the concept maps, which are transcripts of the individual interviews. For example, here you see a word cloud that was imported. It was very handy, I think, to tweak the view of Nvivo in two following ways. I think it was more handy to put the detailed view at the right instead of at the bottom. And here in this section, I always add or activate the highlight coding for all nodes section, which shows you all of the elements in word clouds and concept maps that were coded. So I coded every source by adding nodes to each item. You can select an area on the image and then right click it, go to code selection and code this selection on of the image at existing nodes or at a new node. So I mainly used the sources section and the nodes section. I coded every word cloud and every individual interview in the following way, in this way. So this is an overview. So here you can see a concept map of one of the interviews. I re-listened to every recorded interview and took notes, plus created a concept map of every interview. I imported those in Nvivo and coded everything on the concept maps in the same way. This resulted in a whole bunch of nodes, from which my versions of categories emerged. And then I ordered, reordered, regrouped those nodes until I was satisfied and my theory was formed. The versioning of that grouping process was done in PowerPoint. Here you see my first version of grouping and categorizing the data. Here you see the second version, and in the end I ended up with this version. So this might look simple here, but every concept map, every source, every word cloud was every idea in those sources were coded, and this resulted in a main category that is inspiration, and it has the subcategories work mastery, openness to experience, positive emotionality, motivation, and transcendence. Twitter is a nonlinear tool for using or for continuing professional development and mobile users was a specific category that also was emerging from the data. I will show you the contents of every branch of nodes. I refer to the findings section in my blog for, of course, more elaboration and explanation of these findings. But Nvivo really was, this was a very handy way of coding the data and organizing, grouping into categories. What is also handy is that from this point of view here, you can also do that from the query section, but I think for me it was easier to do it from the nodes section. When you double click a certain code, a certain node better, then you see the results of all the sources marked, coded with that node. In my case, for the main category inspiration, you would see that 17 of the 24 sources were coded with inspiration. And you can use that to analyze your data on every code. You could also use, but I did not make extensive use of that, but you could create queries to analyze your data further. For example, a coding query where the where the code would be pedagogical content knowledge, and when you run that query you would see that these are the results, these are the sources that were marked with pedagogical content knowledge. So a very handy, yeah, a great tool actually to analyze your qualitative data.